Hello there, I'm Eamon.
And I'm Isabel.
And you're watching the GB News digital stream across the United Kingdom.
And around the world.
If you're here in the UK, you can also watch us on your TV screen. GB News is Freeview channel 236.
On Sky, we're channel 515.
626 on Virgin Media.
Just remember, you might need to retune your TV to watch the channel.
Yeah, and if you are doing that, find out more about retuning by going to gbnews.uk.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilized conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
It's that moment you've been waiting for. It's time for Headliners, a comedic romp through tomorrow's newspaper front pages and deep inside the body of the papers as well. In the company tonight of GB News' very own Andrew Doyle and the fabulous comedy superstar Sajila Kershi. So it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a vintage one, let me tell you. But first, here are the headlines.
Mark, thank you. I'm Polly Middlehurst in the GB Newsroom. Our top story tonight, the British man who held 4 people hostage at a Texas synagogue was originally from Blackburn in Greater Manchester, police have confirmed. 44-year-old Malik Faisal Akram was shot dead after a 10-hour standoff with police. No one else was injured. President Joe Biden has declared the incident an act of terror. Here, the Prime Minister's reportedly planning a reshuffle of his cabinet as he fights back over the Downing Street party allegations. It comes as a growing number of Conservative MPs call for him to resign. The Sunday Times newspaper reports Boris Johnson's also planning a policy announcement blitz, including potentially easing COVID restrictions in England ahead of Sue Gray's report. But the Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, says he has degraded the office of Prime Minister and must go.
I think he broke the law. I think he's as good as admitted that he broke the law. And after all, Downing Street has now apologised to the Queen for some of the parties that have gone on. And I know that the government's holding position is let's all wait for the Sue Gray report. But I think it's pretty obvious what's happened. There's industrial-scale partying that's been going on at Downing Street. Not much of it is really denied.
Sir Keir Starmer. In international news, 2 people have drowned in Peru after tsunami waves hit the country and several other South Pacific islands. It follows the eruption of an underwater volcano near the Pacific island of Tonga. The country remains largely uncontactable as telephone and internet links are down. Initial reports suggested there were no mass casualties, but significant damage to roads and infrastructure. Prince Harry is fighting a Home Office decision refusing to allow him to pay for his family's security whilst he's in the UK. Harry wants to bring his 2 children to visit from the States, but claims it's too dangerous without police protection, saying US security doesn't have sufficient jurisdiction to keep them safe. The Home Office has refused to comment. 2 senior Met Police officers have been dismissed for gross misconduct and breaching professional standards. Chief Superintendent Paul Martin and Chief Inspector Davinder Kandola were found to have behaved appallingly towards junior staff and cheated their expenses between 2017 and 2019. Commander Catherine Roper said the pair abused their trusted positions. 16 and 17-year-olds in England will be able to get a COVID booster jab from tomorrow. 40,000 teenagers will initially be eligible for their top-up dose, with that number rising to 600,000 in the coming weeks. And Novak Djokovic's home country is set to welcome him home by illuminating a skyscraper in the capital city Belgrade with the slogan, "You are the pride of Serbia," projected onto it. The tennis star's hopes of defending his Australian Open have been dashed after a federal court in Australia denied his visa and deported him from the country earlier today. He says he's extremely disappointed. On TV, online and on your radio through DAB+, you're with GB News.
You are watching GB News, and this is Headliners, a comedic romp through tomorrow's newspaper front pages. We're going to go deep into the body of the papers as well. We've got so many good stories to get through, but before we do, let's hit the headlines, shall we? And let's start with the Daily Mail. Starmer must say sorry for drinks in lockdown. Tory MPs ask what's the difference between Sir Keir's beer with colleagues and the Prime Minister's Downing Street work event. So now they demand answers from the leader of the opposition. Let's have a look at The Guardian. PM accused of attacking the BBC to save his own skin. And British man named in Synagogue terror attack. We'll discuss that if the clock allows us. Here's The Telegraph. Johnson questioned by Gray over Partygate. And family tried to calm US synagogue terrorist. Of course, an absolutely shocking story. There's also a photo story on the front page of The Telegraph. Djokovic shown the door. There you go, the greatest star in tennis being expatriated out of Australia. Ironic, because historically it's always been the other way around. How about The Independent now? Fears for child refugees wrongly deemed adults. Child refugees are being forced to share rooms and even beds with adult strangers as increasing numbers are placed in accommodation meant for over 18s by the government. This according to an exclusive report in the Indie. Deported Djokovic leaves Australia is the other headline. Go pack Djokovic. Anti-vax star loses court bid to play in the Australian Open. The Metro there very much pinning their colours to the vaccine mast. The Express, PM, fight back plan to level up Britain. Boris Johnson will fight tooth and nail to save his political future by levelling up Britain, say his allies. The PM will clear out number 10 aids. Probably get rid of the wine first, I think would be a good move. But he'll also be launching a blitz of popular policies to bounce back from Partygate scandals. Also in the Express, licence fee will be axed. We'll be discussing that very shortly. The Sun newspaper, on your own, Harry. Queen won't help in row. The Queen will not help Prince Harry in his demand for Met Police bodyguards. The Eye, Operation Dead Meat. Well, that's a pretty clever wordplay on the Prime Minister's plan to throw voters red meat and Tory backbench MPs. That's right, the Prime Minister's promise to sacrifice AIDS and appease Tories with new policies known as Operation Red Meat is something that won't work, according to The Eye. And finally, the Daily Star. His Royal Shyness goes to court to get Brit cops to protect him. Totally ordinary bloke who does totally ordinary things says he's extraordinary. Brilliant headline. Great copy from the Star, as always. Time now for a bit of great chat. And I can say that with every confidence, because joining me tonight to look at tomorrow's newspaper front pages and look at stories within the papers is the Queen, the matriarch, the one and only Sajila Kershi. And joining us tonight also, the Queen, the patriarch, and much, much more, Andrew Doyle. I hope that was gender accurate. Now, our first story from The Independent marks a cultural shift that will affect all of us, good or bad. The licence fee to be scrapped in 2027, Sajila.
Yes, this is great. So snitches get stitches, in my opinion, and I think Boris Johnson basically is seeing is paying back the BBC for all the leaking of the party gates. And the Tories are vowing to scrap the licence fee in 5 years as £2 billion pound cuts are imposed on the BBC. And it's an incentive, I think, to win back votes if he can. And I'm actually quite pleased that they're going to scrap the licence fee, because I must admit, I don't know about you, but I always used to get really nervous, like every year before the direct debit. Yeah, and you see a white van and you think, oh my God, they're here, the feds are here, they're going to come and get me. And it was really quite heavy-handed, because they would, you could be like arrested and stuff. And I kind of agree with Nadine Dorries. Yes, she thinks that the days of the elderly being threatened with prison sentences and bailiffs knocking the doors are over. But also we should be discussing, and I agree with her again, and debate new ways of funding and supporting selling television programmes, she argued. The thing is, I don't know about you, but in the last 2 years, I have not been relying on the BBC for my entertainment during lockdown, the pandemic. It's been Netflix, it's been Amazon, which we share with other members, because nobody actually pays for Netflix on their own. We share it with the family, right? Yeah. And so I'm OK with the TV licence, which is an astronomical £159. It's due very soon, so I'm watching out for the vans, if they're still around. £159, and I'm willing to share it with my neighbourhood. Right, and then we'll have a neighbourhood watch thing. So if anybody sees, we'll get the kids involved. If anybody sees the vans coming, we're all kind of divvied in.
I mean, this is it, isn't it? I think most people now feel that the licence fee is out of date. And it feels like obviously a ploy to win votes. It can't be a coincidence, can it, that Boris's ratings are plummeting. And now he's saying, well, if we get in next time, this is what we'll do. Because poll after poll has said that the majority of the British public know or think that it's an inevitability that the licence fee is going to go. It's only a matter of time. Most people think, we're in the digital age, like you say, Sajila, like it's all Netflix, streaming services, that kind of thing. And, if the BBC is confident in its own high quality, which it is confident, and it does produce a lot of great stuff, then why not just see what happens when the market decides? I'm sure if they are as confident as they claim to be, it won't be a problem for them. I think it's just a relic of a different time, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and I think actually the licence fee does the BBC a disservice, because by being sort of forced to pay for it, I think it creates resentment for those that don't listen to much or any BBC radio or watch any BBC TV. However, it is a great national asset. And I think that, we as the British public, we kind of own the Beeb, and we own all of those programmes and those radio shows. So what is the way forward? I mean, do you think it should be paid for out of general taxation? How do we scrap it? Something, just get rid altogether.
Why not have a subscription service? Why not? Why can't it be that?
Well, I think that throws it. I think that's a red herring from people that want to see the end of the Beeb. Because it cannot survive. No, but I think what that does is it throws the BBC to the lions, because I don't think it will raise £3.5 billion in annual subscriptions.
But it does have a lot of international success in terms of selling its best programmes.
I think they pull in about £1 billion a year in international sales.
They do very well.
But they wouldn't. I mean, you'd pretty much have like a couple of hours of BBC One, and that would be it. Strictly would be, it'd be 3 episodes.
I think the truth is a lot of people want to see the BBC collapse. From people I've spoken to, it's because they've been so ideologically captured. They are so sort of narrow-minded in terms of... I think they're pretty good, actually, when it comes to their reporting politically. They're quite good at sort of not coming down on either side. I know not a lot of people disagree with me on that. I think they do a pretty good job, because it's a hard job. But I think when it comes to these other things, this kind of this systemic, they call it wokeness, but whatever you like, they are captured in that
and using programmes like EastEnders and Doctor Who to sort of wag their finger at the public and to essentially preach things like gender ideology.
If they didn't do that, I think they'd have more support. I think that's what...
Funny you just mentioned those 2 programmes that I've actually stopped watching now because I don't like them anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know why you don't like them, or is it just...
Well, I do, and I might share it, I might not later on. Yeah, but I do think that there are other ways to make money now, because I think the whole licence fee thing is quite dated. I don't want to see the BBC disappear, but hey, if you want us to support you guys, maybe commission more of our work.
Oh, there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, by the way, you're going to have to make sure that you get that BBC sitcom about your life called Sajila commissioned before 2027.
Or I'm not paying my licence fee, and the vans can come round and sort it out.
Can the BBC... The BBC would argue that already this freeze in income will just destroy their output. So do we believe that, or have they cried wolf too often when it comes to how much money they need to actually operate? Because I think, if you look at the fact that, and let's just take Joe Rogan's podcast as an example, that is one of the most watched and listened to media products in the world. You've been on that programme.
I have, yes.
The budget for that show is almost zero.
Yes.
I would have thought.
Yeah.
It's done. Is the studio in his house?
The studio, well, I mean, he's moved now.
Okay.
So when I did the show, he was still in Los Angeles. And it's it was a big sort of, I don't know how to describe it, like a warehouse with like a studio within it and a gym, obviously.
Nice. Got to be done.
And some nice coffee machines and things. But yeah, he's moved now. But yes, exactly, the overheads on that. With all podcasts, it's a 3-hour show that you just record in one studio and it's out there and it's he got how many million off Spotify? A huge deal,
Well, that's right. I think it was rumoured to be $200 million. Is
that right?
He's got 11 million weekly viewers, which makes it the most watched TV show in America, even though it's not on telly. Now, I know you can't make Downton Abbey for no money, and those period dramas on the Beeb and all the rest of it. But I just wonder whether the Beeb could cut its cloth more accordingly. I think what they could do is scrap license fee. You see, they should have owned this story, I think. They should have said years ago, they should have known the writing was on the wall. And the Director General should have said, you know something, there's no way we can keep basically, harassing pensioners for 160 quid.
Yeah.
So we are going to provoke and stimulate a conversation about our funding model. But now they don't own it. They look like a rabbit in the headlights.
Yeah.
They look desperate, and I think that in the end now their fate is in the hands of a Conservative Prime Minister.
I think that's right. And you're right, it is. I mean, some of the best programmes they make are very expensive things to make, and it would be a shame to lose those, I suppose. I'm not a fan myself of that sort of thing, Downton Abbey and that kind of. I have simple tastes, you know what I mean? But yeah, ultimately, I think you're right. They should have acknowledged this a while ago because we've all known for a while now that things are over, and it was sort of a sign of desperation. They were just clinging on to this hopeless dream.
Just getting some news in that Sajila, the BBC One sitcom, is coming to your TV screens in autumn.
Amazing. You ask and the universe will give you.
And suddenly Sajila likes the licence fee. Who knew?
Yeah, I'm paying it.
Let me tell you that GB News is not cheap to make, but by God, it's worth every penny. Now, up next, The Times, with a story that is dividing opinion around the world. It's game, set and match for Djokovic. Sajila, you serve first.
I'm so tired of the story.
He's
He's now gone back. He's been deported, and I don't have much sympathy for someone who's quite well off, and I kind of feel like this story is hiding the story behind where he's staying in a hotel. Is it Park Lane Hotel? Was it? Can't remember the Park Hotel.
Yeah.
And
I don't think it's quite. I think it's
It's not the Park Lane.
It's not exactly the Dorchester, is it?
No,
it wasn't a nice hotel.
Yeah, it's not the nice hotel. It's not Park Lane in London, which is really nice. But there's he's sharing it with refugees who've been there for up to 9 years, like waiting to be processed, and so. Him being in there, it kind of slightly highlighted, and they were grateful that his kind of plight highlighted theirs, but now they're feeling like upset because he's left, and they're really pleased for him. It's really lovely because they're all been like cheering him on and saying, that.
But he doesn't get to play though.
He doesn't get to play, but I can't have any sympathy with that. I'm sorry, because the rules are the rules. Have you not watched Border Control?
But the thing is, he did ask in advance and say, "Can I come?" And they said yes, and they approved it. And then he got there, and suddenly everything changed. I don't think that's fair.
But then they did say that if you haven't been vaccinated, you can't enter the country. Now, every country's got their own rules and regulations. We've got our own.
But then he claimed an exemption that was approved. I mean, it feels like it became very political.
Maybe it did, but the thing is, I think he'll survive. I feel this story's been dragged out, and I would have liked to see the column inches more on the plight of the refugees that have been ill-treated there, and that's more of a human rights issue. And to say that he was tortured, which I've also
Really?
Yeah, some of the officials said, oh no, he was like he was stuck in there for 10 days, blah blah. It wasn't. He was not. He's still getting a better deal than some of the refugees in that hotel. So that's my kind of feeling on it.
I would agree with Sajila. I'd agree with you that the treatment of refugees in Australia, they've got a terrible track record. There are issues there, but I think there's a separate, more frightening issue relating to Djokovic, which is that the precedent that this establishes, because the Alex Hawke, who was the immigration minister, he filed documents to the court explaining his reasons for why the visa was cancelled. The reasons he gave, right, so he said he accepts that there's no health risk with Djokovic. Djokovic does not pose a health risk because he recently had COVID. So even the immigration minister knows that to be the case. And the reasons he gave was to do with the potential for civil unrest and the potential for increase in anti-vax sentiment. In other words, Djokovic's opinions are what has caused the visa to be cancelled. Now, look, irrespective of what we think about those opinions, if you set a legal precedent whereby you can be booted out of the country for your opinions, that can be used in ways that we probably won't even predict. And I worry about that aspect of this story. I care less about the individual situation with Djokovic.
I agree with that, but what I also have a problem with is the fact that if you've said, like, no vaccine, and he is then given that permission to stay, what is that message sending out? Because that's the same thing we've got in our country where, those in power are doing one thing and then...
I get that. So different rules for different... Yeah. I get the objection there. Yeah. But I just think, I worry about the precedent. But also I worry because, as Mark said, the fact that he asked for the exemption and got it, and then it changed, that just seems very, very... And also, by the way, if you're seriously worried about anti-vax sentiment, because he is a bit of a poster boy now for the anti-vax movement, if you won't worry about anti-vax sentiment, making him a martyr... Right, that's the worst thing you can do. Right, it really is. Yeah. This could have just been blown over if they'd have just let this go. But I think it's made matters worse. I think. Maybe they just didn't want him to play, Well, because he's so good.
It's as simple as that. They just didn't want him to play. That's it. They want him to win.
Yeah, some sort of really overweight, bearded Australian from the outback's going to scoop the title now.
Yeah.
Good on you, mate.
I mean, he's got some crazy ideas. He thinks that emotions can purify water and stuff like that. So it's like and you can see why he's got a certain type of following from certain people who go down those burrows on the internet. But you're just exacerbating that problem, I think, by making him a martyr. I really do.
Well, one positive is that men's tennis is now interesting. Who knew? Coming up, we've got the hostage situation in Texas, a really shocking story. We'll reflect on that shortly. Prince Harry's security situation and an update on the human pig heart transplant. Oink, oink. See you in 2.
Looking ahead to tomorrow's weather, and the UK is looking like a dry, bright and cold start for many, with a widespread frost. Let's home in on the detail. The southwest of England will start dry and sunny with light winds on Monday, but it'll also be a cold start with frost for many, especially in the east. Low cloud, mist and fog at first in the southeast, but brighter further north and in the west. Monday morning starting cold and frosty across Wales as well. Light winds and plenty of crisp winter sunshine on offer. And the northwest also starting the day dry, but there will be low cloud and hill fog over some of the higher ground, especially around Greater Manchester, at a very chilly start as well. Cloud creeping in over parts of the Pennines in the northeast, while it will be brighter towards the coast. A cold start, very dry and also frosty. Scotland starting Monday morning with cloud in the north and the west, with brighter and colder conditions in the south and east. Dry though for most. Plenty of crisp winter sunshine for Northern Ireland, and light winds too. A cold start for the morning, a widespread ground frost as well. And a dry morning following for all, with the early mist and fog slowly clearing to leave plenty of winter sunshine. And that's how the weather's shaping up tomorrow morning.
Hello there, I'm Eamon.
And I'm Isabel.
And you're watching the GB News digital stream across the United Kingdom.
And around the world.
If you're here in the UK, you can also watch us on your TV screen. GB News is Freeview channel 236.
On Sky, we're channel 515.
626 on Virgin Media.
Just remember, you might need to retune your TV to watch the channel.
Yeah, and if you are doing that, find out more about retuning by going to gbnews.uk.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilized conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners with the brilliant Sajila Kershi and Andrew Doyle, both venereal according to my team, and I couldn't agree more. Now, the next story from The Sun is actually a very serious one, so I guess we will have a change in tone. We heard about this yesterday, and the full detail is beginning to emerge about this most awful attack on a synagogue in Texas by a British citizen. Andrew, tell me more about this.
Oh, it's a horrible story. And of course, as with all of these stories, it takes days to develop. More information comes in, and we always have to be a bit resistant about jumping to any conclusions. I think, like, everyone's slightly guilty of that, everyone in the media. And so this is, now we've discovered that the gunman was a Brit. OK, so this is the key development here. So, as you know, 4 hostages in the synagogue, and he was in there, and he was calling for the release of this person who is known as Lady Al-Qaeda, she's serving, that's Afa Siddiqui, who's serving an 86-year prison sentence. But everything about the way in which he was comporting himself was disordered and disarrayed, and no one knew what was going on. His name, by the way, the gunman's named as Malik Faisal Akram, who's British. And of course, now this is going to be an international story and an international cooperation. The family has apologised, and they've said, we sincerely apologise wholeheartedly to all the victims. The hostages all escaped, of course. They all were rescued, rather. But the family are saying that he has serious mental health issues, and that's what this is about. Inevitably, we don't know much at this time, and you know, he was even referring to this Lady Al-Qaeda figure as his sister, which led to speculation that he was her brother, and that's not true. So, you know, it's one of those cautionary tales, isn't it? It's like just wait, hold back until we know all the information, then we don't know anything about his motivations, we don't know if it is just about mental health. Who knows? You know, but it's a horrible.
That's always story. The question on people's lips: is it a terror incident? And that's the first question people always ask.
Yeah, no, it's true. And every time something like this happens, of course, you know, my butt cheeks clench so tight. Honestly, I just think, oh my God, is it going to be another thing? And this does. We don't know all the facts. I totally agree. And the woman that there's a separate story with this, with Afa Siddiqui, the Mata Hari of Al-Qaeda, they called her. And even if you read her story, which we haven't got time to go into, but her case seems really strange, and it's like she was a neuroscientist, a mother of 3, and she's apparently, you know, the guardman near her like left his gun on the floor, and then she shot him with it, and then she got shot herself. We don't know what the truth of that is, because you know, hey, kids, let's not believe everything that we read out there. But it is awful, awful. Thank God everybody was safe. Yeah. They're also saying, they're suggesting that it was anti-Semitic. Again, we don't know that because we don't know enough information. But however, the FBI did say that the suspect seemed to be singly focused on one issue, and it wasn't specifically related to the Jewish community. However, to go into the synagogue, I kind of have to think, like, well, maybe there was something.
We don't know. He might just have been a flagrantly anti-Semitic attack.
Yeah,
and, you know, it might have been just that, but, you know, who knows? But it's just horrible.
Of course, we'll bring you the latest on that as it emerges. Now, Monday's Guardian are reporting on judicial reform for pregnant women, Andrew.
Yeah, I think this is a really shocking story, actually. So I didn't realise the extent that the Observer has collected information about, this is the Guardian, it's collected information about babies who are, women who are pregnant who go to prison. An awful lot of the women who end up in prison who are heavily pregnant, they're talking specifically about people who have been pregnant for a while, and most of those offences, the vast majority, are non-violent offences, things like theft or fraud or shoplifting or things like that. And there's been stories here about, for instance, a baby stillborn in a prison toilet, for instance, because of the conditions there. And you know, within all of this, you know, obviously you have to apply the law, you know, and obviously people need to. But when it comes to a heavily pregnant woman, there's a second person involved here, and there's that baby. And there's actually research which is quoted in this article, which says that jailed women in the UK are 5 times more likely to have a stillbirth as those living in the community. So this is a special case. You know, I do believe in applying the law, but it is a special case. You are dealing with a second individual here, and things should be considered more. But it's one of those areas that it doesn't cross your mind. You know, you don't really think about this very much, but actually, of course, it's an issue, and of course, you know, they're right to flag it up.
Well, I have to say that if you're 28 weeks, 36 weeks pregnant, which these women are, and you're committing a crime, you do really have to look at the psychological, emotional and economical reasons why they've committed the crimes and what crimes they're committing. And so I do feel it's like a real massive human rights issue with not just women in the prisons, because I remember doing some work around, refugee women in environments where if you are pregnant, you are vulnerable. And so I think something needs to be done with the law where pregnant women aren't just incarcerated in that way.
Would you say from 12 weeks, or do you think later in pregnancy?
I think perhaps like maybe delay the what do they call it when delay the sentence, like so that maybe.
Oh, I thought you meant delay the birth.
Delay the birth. Just be pregnant for longer.
Yeah, you're right. There must be a way. There must be a solution. There must be something they haven't implemented as yet.
The unborn child has committed no crime.
Right.
I think you're right to point that out. However, I wonder whether this could be weaponised by unscrupulous gangs who could possibly get pregnant women to commit crime. That's got to be a worry, hasn't it?
I worry about your brain.
I know. Can I just say, I'm very lucky. I guess I'm all right at broadcasting, but I have a natural criminal mind.
You could be a criminal mastermind. I see you as a criminal mastermind.
Yeah. Normally, when I see a pregnant woman, I think that's wonderful. Good luck with it. And then I also think, of the economic potential she has. But luckily, I don't act on it. No, but do you not think? I mean, I wonder whether that's possibly why. And also, some people watching this will just say, well, Andrew, crime is crime.
Yeah. And as I say, I think applying the law, but there are all sorts of every criminal case you always take on its own merit. That's why we have court cases. And
I could have sent Mrs. Dolan down to Superdrug when she was 38 weeks pregnant, and just fill your boots. You know what I mean?
Well, you could.
You won't go to jail.
Well, don't they have leniency for women who are at that time of the month when they go shoplifting?
Is that right?
Yeah, they premenstrual tension or whatever.
You can get off for. It's a great time to shoplift if you're a woman. It's a perfect time.
A lot of murders, a lot of they call it manslaughter when you've had a. But that's there's
I mean, I know it does. It causes.
It does. It causes a hormonal imbalance to make you really sort of.
Well, I'd like dispensation for when I've been naughty on a hangover because I'm not of sound judgment. I think that's the equivalent of PMT, isn't it?
I think
ladies.
I think lots of feminists will be getting in touch.
Female viewers. Actually, I would say email, but maybe don't email because it could be quite a rough ride for me. Look, we'll crack on with this story, and it's a fascinating one. Monday's Mirror, carrying an update on the pig heart transplant story that you actually were talking about a few days ago on this show.
Yes. So this is a follow-on from this story. So this man, he's basically a patient who was given a pig heart, but now someone is saying he's not worthy because he stabbed a man and left him paralysed. So basically, this man, he did the crime, he did the time because he did go to prison for this, and he didn't do the full sentence as invariably people don't. But he's been given this pig's heart. I think that's punishment enough.
You could argue.
He wasn't given a human heart, but he was given a pig's heart, and it wasn't like it was guaranteed to work.
Sounds like a bit of a late night eBay purchase, doesn't it?
It sounds quite poetically appropriate.
Yeah,
the man's clearly not a nice guy. He stabbed someone because he thought his wife was flirting with him. He paralysed him. So I think his original heart was clearly defective. Mm. Given the pig's heart poetically makes sense.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, it's the sister of the victim who's saying, he doesn't deserve this, and I completely sympathise with her position. Her brother was stabbed to the point of paralysis. But we do, like you say, he served his time. Mm. We do treat people, good or bad. We don't assess people in terms of ethics before we treat them. So, it's the way it goes, I guess.
And it was an experiment that could have gone wrong.
And that's why I'm so against the idea that somebody that hasn't been vaccinated doesn't get medical treatment or has to pay for their medical treatment. I'm vaxxed up to the eyeballs, but I would, seek that every citizen of this country is supported if they fall ill with COVID. And I think that's the danger of that sort of conversation, because it takes us into this realm where he's a bad guy, he doesn't deserve a new heart.
Same as drinking, isn't it? If you say, well, if you're an alcoholic or you drink too much, you don't get treatment, or if you smoke. We've got to treat everyone, irrespective of what decisions they've made in life. I think that's...
Yeah,
I think it is. It's almost like you've got cameras in my house.
Maybe I have.
What an exciting thought. Well, look, it is a very interesting one. We wish we wish him well, of course, and it is a remarkable medical feat to put a heart from another creature into that of a human. Isn't science amazing? Well, look, let's crack on. The Telegraph is reporting that Prince Harry is having trouble getting back into the country. So good news all round, Andrew. What's not to like?
Well, I'm not a big fan of Prince Harry, but so this is a story about his security, and as you know,
make a good stand-up, wouldn't he?
What, Prince Harry?
Yeah.
Yeah, he would look like a kind of parody of a kind of extreme woke activist, wouldn't he? Who's completely sort of obsequious to his wife. But anyway, I would say, though this is about his security, so when he lost his title and everything, one of the side effects of that, of course, is that he has the security withdrawn, and he's been paying for his own security, his own protection out in America. And he wants to be able to bring his children back, because his youngest child hasn't met her great-grandmother, the Queen hasn't met her, so they want, and obviously he wants to be able to come to the UK. Someone in his position needs security. He inherited this at birth. He's always going to be under some kind of threat because he's a member of the royal family. But the Home Office said, you know, we're not going to pay for your security. So he said, but I want to pay myself. And the Home Office said no. So now he's challenging that. He's filed for a claim for a judicial review against the Home Office because he wants to be able to pay for it himself so the taxpayer wouldn't lose any money. So it does feel like a no-brainer. And also, I think this has been kicked off because there was an incident in 2021 when his car was chased by paparazzi. Obviously, there's a particular sensitivity about that for him. So, you know, for me, it feels like, you know, he's sixth in line to the throne. He's going to be under risk. He's one of those people. Lots of other people, everyone knows that people who were in public office, who leave public office, they do get protection at no cost in this country. That's something that just happens. Hasn't happened with him, so I think if he's prepared to pay, why is that a problem?
He's spent the last couple of years slagging off the royal family. He's basically given up all of his duties, and yet he wants royal protection.
Oh, but I am a fan. I'm a fan of Harry and Meghan. I am still a fan, right? So don't judge me, people. I love them. And I think good on him, because he's offering to pay himself, and I think that's really noble. Unlike his uncle, who basically expects the taxpayer via mummy to pay for his legal costs, right? So I think he's done an honourable thing. He's offering to, he knows he needs protection, and he can't be, he is still not an ordinary person. Even, you know, Meghan, she's a Hollywood, you know, well, she was before, now she's, what do you know, where she sits now.
You say Hollywood, I mean Suits, let's not get carried away.
Suits. Okay, Suits. But the thing is, I think they do deserve that protection, and if he's offering to pay, they should take that money and let him be protected. So I think it's noble.
It shouldn't be about whether we agree with his politics or like him or dislike him. It's the reality of being that famous. And, you know, you need security, you know? You must need security, Mark.
Well, yes, I mean, I've got my heavies, let me tell you, to keep the fans at bay. But I think that the issue is it's royal protection, which is an elite form of protection exclusive to those members of the royal family that are HRH, you know, Dems to rules. We talked about Novak Djokovic, who's fallen victim to the rules in Australia. Well, the same thing's happened to Harry. You walk away from Britain, you walk away from the royal family, and you've got to take the rough with the smooth.
I can picture the Queen sort of saying to him, you know, you should have thought of this before you left smoking a cigarette.
That's exactly right.
You make it sound like she's the mafia.
Yeah, that's what I feel like.
Hey.
You made your decisions. Live with it.
Yeah, the Queen sat there with a cigar working out what to do with pregnant women to boost her fortune. Interesting stuff. Well, lots more to come. We're going to talk about Visa and Amazon in a deadlock. That's right, many people are quite addicted to their Amazon purchases. I think you can buy a pig's heart on Amazon, but you won't be able to if they don't sort out an argument with Visa. And that's a really interesting story. We'll discuss that. Also, a new Harry Potter production, and Elon Musk makes a worrying prediction. I'll see you after the weather.
Hello there, I'm Eamon.
And I'm Isabel.
And you're watching the GB News digital stream across the United Kingdom.
And around the world.
If you're here in the UK, you can also watch us on your TV screen. GB News is Freeview channel 236.
On Sky, we're channel 515.
626 on Virgin Media.
Just remember, you might need to retune your TV to watch the channel.
Yeah, and if you are doing that, find out more about retuning by going to gbnews.uk.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilized conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
Dan Wootton, join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners, a late-night romp through tomorrow's newspaper front pages. In the company of two of the UK comedy circuit's finest topical minds, tonight Sajila Kershi and GB News' very own Andrew Doyle. And I say very own because we own him. He's literally ours, and we keep him in a cupboard. Now, The Guardian has some potentially awful news for anyone who uses Amazon and Visa. So, Sajila.
Oh my God, this totally affects me, guys. So last minute deal needed to keep UK issued Visa cards, credit cards, working on Amazon. So Amazon told everybody, and I do remember this, on the 19th of January, I believe it was it 19th?
It was November, I thought.
No, November, yeah. sorry, November, that they were going to stop anyone using their Visa card. And am I giving too much information away? But saying that
you were saying a lot.
I was saying a lot.
All we need is the last four numbers.
The last four numbers, and I'm so honestly susceptible to this. But so they've basically they're saying that they're trying to force like Visa into a position where they like change because I think they're charging too much, and that's what they don't want to pay. Because they don't pay taxes, do they?
Well, who, Amazon?
Yeah.
They didn't used to. I don't want to comment.
What they do, they don't.
Oh, yeah, we don't know. Allegedly,
No. You're right to raise this. Amazon don't break the law when it comes to their tax arrangements, but they're very, very clever about where they're headquartered, which means that they pay a lot less than UK-based retailers like John Lewis and Tesco.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's fair comment to say that Amazon don't pay enough tax.
Well, I mean, but this is it. They're all about the money, but then also Visa are all about the money. They're going to come to an agreement, aren't they? Because they're suggesting, what is it, by the 19th of January, according to this Guardian article, suddenly, if you're using a Visa credit card on Amazon, it will stop. And that means if you're subscribing to Prime through it, it's all going to stop, which, yes, we know. Sajila, you're giving way too much away.
And listen, you watch so much GB News. You don't need Prime anymore.
Oh, yeah, but I do. I need them. I know Amazon, and I need the other one, Netflix, because I watch all the telenovelas. That kept me going. I learned Spanish vicariously through the telenovelas.
What is a telenovela?
It's like a Spanish, like it's all like Brazilian.
Flavour of ice cream.
No, I'm thinking of that actor, Telly Savalas. Different thing.
Yeah,
telenovela.
All the soaps, basically. That's why I don't watch EastEnders and all that stuff anymore, because I watch the Spanish versions, the Mexican, drug cartel.
They're not saying you won't be able to use Amazon. They're saying that you won't be able to use your Visa credit card.
I know, but that's what it's...
Oh, that's
she's got her Visa on there.
But it's basically, they're calling it corporate chicken. So it's almost like it's basically Amazon and Visa trying to both be alpha males. They're both squaring up, saying, no, you back down first. No, you back down first. And now it's starting to... Now it's looking like, actually, it's going to not work. I think eventually they'll have to reach an agreement. They have to.
So basically you're saying Mummy and Daddy are fighting and we're the kids. The Visa
But
kids.
does it not demonstrate the extraordinary corporate and economic might of Amazon that they can pick this fight?
That's huge.
It's not Jeff Bezos anymore, is it? Because he's not the CEO, obviously the main shareholder. But as a company, they're so powerful, they've got such a footprint that they can more or less freeze Visa out and still make money.
Isn't that weird? It was a bookshop. How can a bookshop get so powerful? It's sort of amazing to me.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
Dream big, Andrew. Dream big.
Well, there's a story about Apple, and I'm not that very well versed on software, but I think Flash software on your computer allows you to open documents and video files. Is that right? Flash software.
Who knows? I still use a slate and chalk.
When Steve Jobs was, that's not a bad shout, chalk and crayon. When Apple launched their Mac computers many years ago, Flash did not license their products to Apple, and so Steve Jobs fell out with this company that were providing that software. So then when he brought out the iPhone, they said, oh, we'd love to have our Flash software on your phones. He said, no, we will not have them. And still to this day, there are certain things you can't open on your phone because of that bitter feud.
Don't burn bridges in business.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Always be nice. Always be nice, they say.
Like Sajila Kershi, nicest woman in showbiz, or at least so she pretends. Now, The Guardian has some potentially awful news, but we'll move on from that because this is another story in The Guardian. We're quite Guardian heavy tonight. I don't know what's come over us. But this one's an important political story for Israel. Tell me what, Benjamin Netanyahu in trouble?
Well, I mean, he's apparently close to a plea bargain. This is this ongoing corruption trial, and he's been accused of what they call moral turpitude. We should use the word turpitude more. It's something depraved behaviour.
Correct.
But and he
very good at removing unwanted paint from your
and
jeans.
it does that too, doesn't it? It does.
Get out of your fingernails.
But apparently, you can. Well, what happens here is it would bar him from political life if he's found guilty of moral turpitude. If we did that in this country, we'd have no politicians left, would we? But he does end up not going to jail if he gets his plea bargain. But it does effectively end his political career if this occurs. But it's incredible. He's been accused of fraud, breaching trust, accepting bribes. So apparently, allegedly, he accepted gifts worth over $300,000, and this is he was in deals with TV companies for preferential representation, this kind of thing that politicians absolutely mustn't. So look, it's a serious corruption trial. It looks like if he does accept the plea bargain, it's coming to an end. He will avoid prison. But that's it, because he's not allowed into politics for 7 years. So and he won't come back after that.
Did the court take note of his comb over? Has that been addressed? Surely that's an aggravating.
I mean, of course,
crime.
it would be. You know, they're very. Yeah, they've got to take those sort of things into account. Haven't
You
they?
do. I mean, what we have to understand, don't we, is what a huge figure he is in Israeli politics. Yeah. I mean, he's been
massive.
Prime Minister on multiple occasions. I mean, this would be equivalent to Tony Blair going down, no?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when he was ousted, he'd had a 12-year stint. You know, so he's a big, major figure. This will trigger a leadership election for his party. That, you know, this is it's a big deal. But these are serious charges.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Well, a questionable new Harry Potter production is being proposed. This one from Sunday's Daily Mail, commonly known as the Mail on Sunday. Sajila, tell me more.
Oh, please leave J.K. Rowling alone.
Oh, you transphobe.
No, I'm not. I'm not, and nor is she, can I just say. The basic film producers, they're planning a woke version of Harry Potter movies in which the magical characters will be played by transgender and non-binary actors. Now, that's the headline. However, when you look deeper, and bear in mind, I get, castings come up all the time from Spotlight. You must do as well, right? And
they've dried up a bit recently.
Right, quite rightly. It always says, you know, that there always adds transgender or non-binary. So there is, you know, because you can't discriminate. But it does say, according to the casting notes, the roles are open to actor who is Asian, Black, African descent, ethnically ambiguous, multiracial, Indigenous peoples, Latino, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, South Asian, Indian, Southwest Asian, Pacific Islander, and they haven't specified anything, and so they've just added but they want a particular, you know, they just want to make it more diverse. It's already been made. It's great as it was. Why fix something when it's already broken? Right?
I looked into this a bit more. It's a TikTok film producer, right? So it's not going to be like a Hollywood style thing. So it's not... Basically, what they're doing is they're doing it to get at J.K. Rowling, and they're basically saying no white actors. So they're specifically saying is no white actors. That big long list is basically no white actors should apply. Trans actors, non-binary, they're not going to have Harry in it. The mother's got to be transgender. But it's not going to get made, is it? Because ultimately, she owns the rights. And so it's sort of a non-story in a way. She's kind of rich. She can probably take them to the cleaners if they attempt to make this. And it is just a snub. They're just basically saying, you're a transphobe. That's what they believe, which I agree with you. She absolutely is not. And they're doing this just to spite her. But you know what? I spoke about this on my show earlier. I just think, go ahead and make your non-binary trans version of Harry Potter. Have all your sort of pansexual goblins in it, and no one will watch this because people are sick of identity politics. It's so boring. So I don't think they're going to, by all means, go ahead.
Positive, if it's TikTok, the film will be 60 seconds long, which will make it my favourite of the Harry Potter films.
There is that. They are over long, aren't they?
Yeah, because I've never actually, I've got a son, but because my family loved Harry Potter, they all insisted in taking him, and I had to watch horrible baby-laid things, really awful things with him instead. So I've not seen it, but I'm a fan of, she's incredible. She's written these amazing things. All these things exist in her head, and to constantly have a pop at her, there's something wrong with you. If you are having a pop at her, you're bullying her. I think it's the other way around. She's never been anti-trans, and I've never heard anything she said that is transphobic. And
she's actually a woke lefty. That's the irony.
Exactly. So stop bullying J.K. Rowling.
It's hysteria.
Stop it.
It's total hysteria.
It's just awful. The pile-on. I mean, I don't know how she must feel mentally, but I support her. I'm doing that here now, right today, as a woman who's actually knows everything about being oppressed, knows everything about having discrimination. So don't give that thing to me. I know what that's like, and I'm a woman, and I'm proud of it, and I'm proud of knowing, that J.K. Rowling is doing some amazing work. That she's inspired my son and generations, and maybe your kids too. And I'm ranting now, stop it.
No, my kids are still thick, but you can't win them all. Brilliant stuff. I agree with every word. If I was allowed to stand up and applaud, I would. Well said, Sajila. Now, this one is from Monday's Guardian, and it's about Kosovo and Bitcoin, two subjects I know you're an expert on, Andrew.
Absolute expert. I don't know what Bitcoin is, but apart from that, I'm a total expert.
You're being paid in it tonight.
Oh, yes, I know. That's why no money's appearing in my bank account. But because it is nothing, isn't it? It's nothing, and people are apparently mining for Bitcoin in Kosovo. So but they're not actually mining. It's a metaphor because Bitcoin doesn't exist. So they are. Now, someone tried to explain it to me before, and it's to do with computers and electricity, and that's as far as I got. But effectively, what's happening? Apparently, in Kosovo, the energy prices are so low, the electrical prices are so low, and it's something to do with the type of reserves they have here. They've got a thing called lignite. I've never heard of this, but it's apparently a very cheap kind of low-grade coal, which means you can have the cheapest energy prices in Europe. So this process of mining for Bitcoin is going on an awful lot in Kosovo, but apparently the government is pulling the plug, sort of saying you can't do this anymore, and it's basically...
So people are using supercomputers and the cloud, which consumes an enormous amount of energy, and they're doing it in Kosovo, but it's not great for the locals.
No, exactly, and that's why they're saying, no, you can't do this anymore. But I still wish I understood what Bitcoin...
Which is why I'm not commenting, because I have no idea what Bitcoin's about.
Well, I've decided I will never understand, because enough people have attempted to explain it to me, and I consider myself a reasonably intelligent person, but there's just a brick wall there, and I'm willing to accept my limitations, and I don't understand why we all can't do that.
You do wonder... I'd like to go back to bartering.
With goats and things.
Correct.
Yeah.
Where I just say, what a great job tonight, Sajila. Here are 3 potatoes.
Oh, you say that, but I was paid in samosas once at a gig.
Were you?
Yeah,
Is that real?
Samosas and pakoras, I tell you.
That's
I went back and did it again, and every year I do it.
Well, look, let me tell you that Sajila is worth at least 1 samosa and 3 potatoes and the rest. And I would give Andrew, what would I give you? Some good stuffing. There you go. Let's go with your turkey. I'll move on.
Me.
Blimey. Now,
I'm over-flustered.
I just got excited there for a moment. This next story from the Times is about e-cigarettes, or as I like to call them, mouth fedoras. You're welcome. Sajila.
Oh, OK. So Sajid Javid he's basically wants vaping to replace cigarette smoking. So he thinks that it's a poverty thing, smoking, which I thought was a bit silly because it's like rich people smoke too, It's not. I didn't realise that was a lifestyle. Like, I wish I could smoke. But anyway, he wants people, because a lot of people are dying from smoking, and he wants to prescribe e-cigarettes on the NHS to help smokers quit as part of plans to increase life expectancy for the poorest. Now, all you do here is really you just get addicted to vaping.
Is that true? Is that what? Because it's still got the nicotine.
Yeah, and also you get this thing called popcorn. I can't speak tonight. Popcorn lung, which is like little holes in your lung, which I've read about, and so it's still damaging. And I know that you can get different flavours in the vaping. You can also...
Which could be, they contain additives.
Additives, and, they still have nicotine, so it still has that stuff that damages. And they haven't, like other things, they haven't done enough studies to see, what long-term damage it does. But I don't think this is a good message, because even if you didn't smoke, I can go in the NHS and I can get free vaping.
But it isn't carcinogenic in the way cigarettes are, and so in that sense, it is water vapour. But I take your point, because the people I know who vape, who went on to vaping off cigarettes, they say that they do it a lot more than they ever smoked, precisely because it's just water vapour, and so it's they just keep doing it. And maybe there are these long-term effects that we don't know about. I would have thought it's a lot better for you than cigarettes, though, right?
It's obviously a better alternative. But whatever happened to giving stuff up? Remember that?
For length.
Yes.
My dear Uncle Pat, who's sadly no longer with us, he gave up smoking Camels in probably the 80s. And he got through a couple of packets a day, which is hardcore. In fact, he was so uncompromising that he used to snap the filters off his cigarettes and just smoke them raw.
Oh, that's hardcore.
Like that. But from one day to the next, he just gave up. And I don't think people do that much.
Willpower.
These days.
You see, my father gave up when I was a kid because I bullied him into giving up. And he just did it because I was a nightmare, right? So he just did it. But he was smoking since the age of 8. So for him, it was... Yeah, so for him, it was very ingrained. And yet he succeeded because he had willpower, You're right. I think we're just a bit too pampered. We don't need vapes from Sajid Javid. We just need more fortitude.
Yeah.
Well, I interviewed a guy called... he's called John Dicey, and he's part of the Alan Carr, not the comedian, but the smoking expert regime, and it's called Easy Way. And years ago, I did smoke a few cigarettes, read that book, didn't touch them again, and it's miraculous, and it's very much about deconstructing how smoking works and why you get addicted to it. And I'd recommend that. But obviously, if you are wondering what to do, if you're struggling to get off the fags, why don't you speak to your GP and get some professional medical advice, because it's very clear that it's probably best, if you can and you want to quit, that you're assisted in doing just that. Elon Musk banging on about invading Mars again, Andrew.
Well, not quite an invasion. He's suggesting that we have to become a multi-planetary species. This is what he said in this interview, and he's talking about how. Well, of course, he's right. He says that our time is finite. He's saying that eventually, there is 100. What he said is there's 100% chance of all species going extinct, which is true. Our sun is halfway through its life. We know that. A sun of that kind only has 10 billion years to live.
I might take up smoking again if the sun's almost dead. Well, let's party.
This is going to be. It's not almost. It's got another 5 billion to go. But it is going to be a gradual.
5 billion. Well, I have gym membership. I eat well.
You'll be grand. Yeah, you'll be good. But I think he's suggested. He's actually said they actually pushed him on this, and they said, "How long is it going to take you to colonise Mars?" He wants a city on Mars, which terrifies me. Have you seen Total Recall?
Yes.
It terrifies me, the idea of that. It's full of mutants, scary killer mutants. But the thing is, he's actually said in this interview, best case 5 years, worst case 10 years. That's confidence. He thinks he's going to have a city on Mars within 10 years. I'm going to hold him to that, because I wouldn't want to live there, but I would visit. That's what I'll say.
I'd be interested in house prices in Mars. Might be worth buying a little one-bedroom garden.
A little maisonette.
Yeah. You think?
Yeah.
Just a little buy-to-let job?
I think that's a great idea, but I also think that Elon Musk actually should just go move to Mars himself and leave us all alone with his opinions. That's what I think.
Are you a bit tired of all this innovation?
I am. It's like, I'm not a, I'm over it. But I'll go in dibs with you if you want to buy somewhere on another planet.
Yeah, we can rent it out to Andrew when he's on holiday. Fascinating stuff. Well, look, my sincere thanks to my brilliant panel tonight, Andrew Doyle and Sajila Kershi. Don't forget that Headliners is a 7-day-a-week franchise. That's right. Thank you so much for all the positive emails about the show. Do keep them coming, by the way. GB Views at gbnews.uk. Good, bad and indifferent. Do let us know what you think of the show. I'm delighted to say that Dominic Frisby and Simon Evans will be back in the hot seat. And, of course, more top comedians reacting to the big stories of the day. Thanks for your company over the last 3 hours. I'm back on Friday at 9. Have a great week, and I'll see you then.
Looking ahead to tomorrow's weather, and the UK is looking like a dry, bright and cold start for many, with a widespread frost. Let's home in on the detail. The southwest of England will start dry and sunny with light winds on Monday, but it'll also be a cold start with frost for many, especially in the east. Low cloud, mist and fog at first in the southeast, but brighter further north and in the west.